Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have more news to share about Liar Liar. I'm talking, of course, about George Santos. He's now under scrutiny for his 2020 congressional campaign. Deception might actually run in his family. He might still be lying about lying, and he may have just implicated the Republican Party in concocting his fake resume. So first, as you all probably know, before winning his 2020 campaign, he unsuccessfully ran for Congress in 2020. And according to the Daily Beast, Santos took advantage of what we all came to know as the red mirage. In 2020, because of COVID, most Democrats voted by mail. But as usual, most Republicans voted on the day of the election in person. So on election day, just as with Donald Trump, it looked like Santos was very close in the race. It looked like he was, in a nail biter, he might win. In reality, he was running for office in a solid blue district. He ended up losing by 12 points. In the interim, though, Santos used this red mirage to start a recount fund. He went out and said, "Oh, you guys got to help me because it's so close. Oh, we might have to go to a recount." This was before the mail-in ballots had been counted. So Santos was out there urging his supporters to send him money for the DeValder Santos for Congress recount. Through this bogus recount fund, Santos raised $265,000. He somehow burned through almost every single penny. His campaign reports that they spent over $260,000 of that money. And what's really interesting and suspicious is the fact that Santos took in more individual donations for this fake recount than the number of donations he received during his entire campaign. Also, Santos continued to take in these recount donations for 1 full month after he conceded his race. People were still sending him money. And one of the largest expenditures from this bogus recount fund supposedly went to a Republican company. It's called the Donor Bureau. So what this company does is they rent out donor lists to candidates who are trying to fundraise. And Santos records show that he paid them $139,000. Campaign insiders say that amount of money is obscene. In fact, in the entire 2020 election cycle, of all candidates, there was only one other entity that paid this donor bureau more than Santos. It was the National Republican Senatorial Committee. Obviously, a national committee like that is trying to raise money for candidates throughout the entire country. So their costs would be high. But Santos, why is he paying almost as much as them? And one expert who spoke with the Daily Beast said, quote, "That expense is really high and totally inconsistent with the commission Donor Bureau takes with any other candidate or committee." There were other questionable expenses on this list as well. There was a new laptop. There was a $400 meal at Santos' favorite Italian restaurant that I mentioned before, that Il Bacco. All kinds of different things that just didn't add up. The problem is that experts say this is one area where candidates can really get away with financial murder because recount funds are completely unregulated. There's no way to know what he was doing, and nobody keeps track of this. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a George Santos story without inexplicable cash falling from the sky. So as I previously mentioned, Santos reported no income in 2020. This is when he was running. The year before that, he reported a salary of $55,000, but he somehow managed to put $80,000 of supposedly his own money into this 2020 campaign. It's so blatantly false, it's laughable. So next, on to his sister, Tiffany Lee DeValder Santos. She apparently owed her landlord almost $20,000 in unpaid rent. This is after she got government money through COVID to help offset some of the rent. She has now set up a repayment plan with this landlord to pay back like $1,000 a month. That wouldn't be a major story, except for the fact that while she wasn't making her rent payments since March of 2020, She hasn't made a rent payment. She donated almost $30,000 to her brother's campaign and other Republican causes. This is obviously ironic, considering that her brother was out on the campaign trail saying that he was some wealthy landlord and, oh, I'm so irritated. These tenants, they just don't pay their rent. And clearly she had the money, but she just refused to pay the rent because she was giving it to her brother, if in fact it was her money. And Tiffany is saying, oh, well, the landlord was harassing me. He neglected the property. That's why I didn't pay him. Well, there were some violations filed against him for missing smoke detectors, but there was also one for a broken self-closing door, chipped paint. So, it's not like her apartment was flooded. She couldn't live there. But why didn't she just move? If she thought that it was that bad, she could have moved. Last but not least, Santos had an interview recently with Piers Morgan. Santos admitted to lying about a lot of the aspects of his life. He told Piers Morgan that he thought he could get away with the lies indefinitely because no one caught on in 2020. But when Morgan pressed him on specific details of his resume, such as, like his fake master's degree in business, Santos claimed that he didn't supply, that's the word he used, quote, supply the resume. Then when he was asked where some of his supposed test scores came from, Santos replied, quote, I have no idea where that came from. I didn't supply it, and nobody associated with me supplied it. That came from the GOP, and I'm still trying to understand where that came from. So what exactly is Boy George saying here? That came from the GOP? He's implying that the Republican Party was complicit in helping to draft his phony resume. That's what he's saying. Ruh-roh. You got some splaining to do, RNC. I don't know why I just did like Scooby-Doo and I Love Lucy. But anyway, I don't know how this is going to sit with them. I mean, sounds like they really do need to step up to a mic and explain, is this guy lying again? Is he lying about lying? Or is he actually telling the truth this one time? And the RNC had something to do with this. So anyway, I guess we'll find out. I will keep you guys in the loop. As always, I'm sure I will have more George Santos for you in the near future. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please donate. Please become a monthly supporter if you can, or leave a one-time tip or super thanks, whatever it is on the platform you're watching. Take care, guys. I'll talk with you soon.